Okay, good morning, everybody. The time is 10 o'clock, 10:01 actually, and I'm going to call the May 23, 2024 Planning Board meeting to order. We have the following board members with us. Vice Chair Bailey, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
We have Commissioner Washington.
Good morning.
And Commissioner Dorner.
Hello.
And I'm Chair Shapiro. Please note that the deadline for all participant pre-registration and for all submission materials and exhibits was 12 noon on the Tuesday before this planning board meeting. Registered speakers may join the meeting with the link provided in the email provided by the planning board office or listen by phone by utilizing the call-in number provided in the email. And of course, anyone may tune in to watch us via live stream. If you wish to speak or become a person of record, you'll see the information referenced on the screen before you. In addition to the commissioners, we have our senior counsel, Ms. Coleman. Good morning, Ms. Coleman. We have Jessica Jones, our planning board administrator, James Hunt, the division chief for the Development Review Division, and we have our staff members, Kenneth Flanagan and Ryan Croner, helping us with technology behind the scenes. With that, we'll move on to our agenda. We're going to follow the agenda in the order as described. And our first item on our agenda, item 1A, is a sad but happy item. And this is a resolution of appreciation for Mr. Berlage. And let me just note a few things about Mr. Berlage as we move along. He's the acting deputy director with the Prince George's County Planning Department, retiring from the commission effective June 1st. With more than 16 years of service. More than 12 of those years were here in the planning department. As the acting deputy planning director, Derek led 3 divisions: community planning, countywide planning, development review, 138 planners, managers, professional staff. He also managed the preparation of a new zoning ordinance, the preparation of a new subdivision ordinance, countywide map amendment, rezoning the entire county. And as division chief for the countywide planning division, he led the department for the approval of many, many, many projects. The 2013 Economic Development Strategic Plan, the 2014 Urban Agriculture Study. Good thing for the country boy that he is. 2017 Competitive Retail Market Strategy Action Plan, 2015 Healthy Food Study Plan. There are so many. He also, as we know, we have not forgotten that he served as chair of the Montgomery County Planning Board. And we thank him for all of his expertise in planning and zoning and land use and your vast knowledge of the Bi-County region, your leadership in so many ways, Derek, and your dedication to the commission and Prince George's County and the state of Maryland. I wish you a very, very happy retirement. We will be presenting Mr. Berlage a formal resolution at a later date, and there'll be lots more celebrating. But this is the resolution that we have before us. And I would look for a motion, and then under discussion, we might have things to say, but is there a motion?
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Enthusiastic
Motion
approval.
by Commissioner Washington, and second by Vice Chair Bailey. Under discussion. Anything anyone wants to add?
May not be sad, but certainly delighted that you joined us from your other life. It's been a delight to have you on board with us and with your knowledge and your commitment to service. Certainly hope that you have a pleasant retirement, do all those things you dreamed about doing in retirement. I want to see that list. I want to see what's on that list so I can add it to my list. But thank you so very much for your service and a blessed, a wonderful retirement.
Why do I think a sector plan is not going to be on that list? Just saying, huh?
Derek, it has been an absolute pleasure working with you. Thank you for your leadership and just helping to steward and shape so many of our land use policies in your role with the Prince George's County Planning Department. I'm terribly excited, terribly jealous of what's going to happen to and for you on June 1st, but I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll reiterate those comments. I already, like I said, mine before before the hearing started. But definitely appreciate all your guidance and leadership. It's nice to have folks who have a really strong planning background, especially from other communities. Because when we get into the sector plans and we're trying to figure out like what works in Prince George's County, having the ideas of like, hey, we've tried this in these other places, this worked really well, or maybe this didn't work as well. Like, let's adapt it for here. Let's avoid those kinds of pitfalls. That kind of knowledge is great. It's really good for you to pass it along to staff, and for that to also come up to us and say, this doesn't really work, or this is what it was intended on doing here. So definitely appreciate all of the help with that and the leadership and the vision, and wish you the best in retirement.
Thank you.
You will be missed. You've been a good friend. You've been an incredible professional. And we all wish you the best, absolute best. And while we're still under discussion, Director Hull, I see you. Is there just want to give you the chance to say anything if it feels right for you as well? Wait, we can't hear you. No. You're having technical issues. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, board, for your time today. Derek, you know that you have my heart right now because you have helped onboard me in a miraculous way in my 4 months in this role. It's been amazing what you provided to this department and to the county. And so it's a huge loss for us. And so we wish you well. And we're going to definitely send you out in grand style. So thank you again for your service, sir.
Thank you so much. And it's really been a pleasure to have the time to work with you as our terrific new leader. Thank you for the words of appreciation, but I want to express my words of appreciation because as I listen to all of those things that I supposedly accomplished, I know that they're not my accomplishments, they're our accomplishments. And it has just been a privilege to be excited to come to work every day for 13 years here in Prince George's County and for a number of years before that in our sister county, and to work with great planning board chairs, great planning board members, great council members, great community leaders, and especially our hardworking staff. And it just reminds me this very special, as I'm heading out, it just reminds me of the very special role that Park and Planning plays in both of our counties. Because our agency is the agency that thinks about the future. And where so many other folks in government are thinking year to year or council term to council term, our job is to think in decades and to safeguard the future of the Bi-County region. And we do a fabulous job at it. And one of the nice things about having decades under my belt is that finally you actually get to see the results of that future-driven thinking that Park and Planning implements. The great transit-oriented development coming out of the ground that we planned, the fabulous park system. Commissioner, one of the things I'm going to do in my retirement, Commissioner Bailey, is spend a lot of time in the park system because it is a great resource. And we built that. And the things that may seem small, but actually add up, the sidewalks that are there because we insisted on them, the bike lanes that are there because we insisted on them, the woodland conservation areas that we helped create, each of them small, we bring them all together, and they are a critical reason why this will continue to be a great county to live in for generations to come. And to have been part of that is just a privilege. So thank you. Thank you to all of you and to our entire community for letting me be a part of it. I'm just so grateful.
Thank you, Derek. You've been a great leader, truly, truly. We were blessed to have you to work with you. So with that, folks, if there's no further discussion, I will call the roll on this resolution. Commissioner Washington.
I vote aye.
Vice Chair Bailey.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
Vote aye.
I vote as well. The ayes have it 4-0. Thanks again, and we will see you soon at another celebration.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Thank you.
Folks, we have one more resolution, very important, perhaps with a little less emotion. We have a resolution in support of Preservation Month. And just a few quick words on this. This year marks the 51st year of celebrating during the month of May the collaborative work that happens at the local, state, and national levels for promoting all the historic places and heritage tourism and all the diverse and unique heritage that we have in the around the country, cities and states. And we have so many of these. This evening, actually, May 23rd, the annual Prince George's County Historic Preservation Reception is going to take place at Newton White Mansion, one of our facilities. And we're going to celebrate the shared work that there is to related historic preservation with the Department of Parks and Recreation and numerous other local organizations. So that's what's before us. I would look for a motion to approve this resolution.
Motion to approve resolution.
Second.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Bailey, a second by Commissioner Washington. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I will call the roll. Vice Chair Bailey.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Washington.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
Vote aye.
I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 4-0. All right, moving on. Item 2 on our agenda, I'd look for a motion to approve the draft minutes of May 16, 2024.
Move approval, Mr.
Motion
Chairman.
to approve draft minutes. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Washington, and second by Vice Chair Bailey. Any discussion? If not, Commissioner Washington, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Washington.
I vote aye.
Vice Chair Bailey.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
Vote aye.
I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 4-0. We have consent agenda items. Anyone from the public or any board member who wishes to public to oppose the recommendations for the consent agenda, or staff or board members who wish to discuss any of these items? If not, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, move approval of items 4A and 4B on the consent agenda in accordance with recommendation of staff.
Second.
A motion by Vice Chair Bailey, a second by Commissioner Washington. There's no discussion. I'll call the roll. Vice Chair Bailey.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Washington.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
Vote aye.
I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 4-0. Moving on to our regular agenda items. We will start with item 5. Extension request for preliminary plan 4-21025 Broad Creek Townhouses at Henson Creek Transit Village. This is a extension request. So we have Mr. Bartlett who will be giving a staff presentation. Mr. Tedesco, who's representing the applicant, may have something to say on this as well. I think Mr. Owens signed up to speak on this issue. This is just an extension request that's before us. So I don't know if Mr. Owens is on the line. Are you, just to help me understand our process here? Mr. Owens, are you there? I don't think so. If he shows up, we'll certainly give him time to speak on the extension request. So with that, Mr. Bartlett, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. For the record, I am Jason Bartlett with the subdivision section. Item number 5 on the agenda is an extension request for preliminary plan of subdivision 4-21025 titled Broad Creek Townhouses at Henson Creek Transit Village. This preliminary plan of subdivision was approved by the Planning Board on May 19, 2022 and is valid through June 9, 2024. The preliminary plan approved 80 lots and 8 parcels for the development of 80 single-family attached dwelling units. By letter dated April 15, 2024, the applicant requested a 1-year extension of the plan's approval. This is the applicant's first extension request. If this request is approved, the preliminary plan of subdivision will be valid through June 9, 2025. Section 24-119D of the prior subdivision regulations authorizes a planning board to grant an extension to the normal expiration of a preliminary plan of subdivision when certain criteria are met. These criteria and their findings are listed in staff memorandum. Staff find that all criteria has been met and recommend that the planning board grant a 1-year extension for preliminary plan of subdivision 4-21025 pursuant to section 24-119D5A Romanet 1 through 5 of the prior subdivision regulations. This concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Bartlett. If there are no questions for staff, Mr. Tedesco, anything you want to add?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Matthew Tedesco on behalf of the owner and applicant for this application. We would submit on our letter, thank Mr. Bartlett for his review. We did have some correspondences during the review to further elaborate on some of the efforts that we have undertaken. I did inherit this case from my late partner, Mr. Lynch, as you all know, passed away in November. But we did articulate the basis for the extension in our letter dated April 15th. We would submit on that, certainly respect staff's recommendation, agree with the recommendation, and do believe that all the required findings under 24-119D5A have been met for the requested extension. And unless there's any questions, I'm happy to close there, but answer any questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tedesco. Any questions for the applicant, commissioners? If not, one last shot. Mr. Owens, are you on the line? Nope. Okay. All right. With that, we have the extension request before us. Commissioners, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the findings of staff and approve the 1-year extension for preliminary plan 4-21025.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Washington, a second by Vice Chair Bailey. Any discussion? If not, I will call the roll. Commissioner Washington.
A vote aye.
Vice Chair Bailey.
Aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
Vote aye.
I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 4-0. Thank you, Mr. Tedesco, and thank you, Mr. Bartlett. Well done. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody. And a great holiday. And just real quick, a plug to Mr. Balazs. Thank you for all of his leadership and efforts over the vast many years. And you will be missed, but I did want to get my gratuitous plug in there. And so I thank you for that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thanks for the kind words. All right, we'll move on to item 6 on our agenda, preliminary plan of subdivision 4-23013 Salubria. Mr. Hatcher is representing the applicant. We have Ms. Gupta who will be giving a staff presentation. This is an evidentiary hearing, so if there are those who are signed up to speak, I will swear them in at the appropriate time. I don't think we will have anybody, but just in case. And we will turn to Ms. Gupta. Take it away.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Doing a quick sound check.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Thank you for that. Good morning again, Mr. Chair and members of the board. For the record, I am Mridula Gupta with the subdivision section. Item number 6 on the agenda is a preliminary plan of subdivision 4-23013 titled Salubria. The subdivision proposes 3 parcels for 129,284 square feet of commercial development. This application is supported by an approved certificate of adequacy, ADQ-2023-020. Based on the findings presented in the technical staff report, staff recommend that the planning board approve this preliminary plan of subdivision 4-23013 and type 1 tree conservation plan TCP 1-014-11-02, subject to the findings and conditions in the staff report. If it is the pleasure of the board to make a motion, this will conclude staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gupta. Commissioners, any questions for staff? If not, Mr. Hatcher, we will turn to you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, for the record, my name is Chris Hatcher with CL Hatcher LLC, here on behalf of Pinnacle Harbor LLC and 6710 Oxon Hill Road LLC, here on this preliminary plan associated TCP1, excuse me. Would like to first thank staff on working pretty diligently with the applicant, not only on this application, but the predecessor CSP and which you saw a few months ago, and the upcoming DSP for the daycare center and the eating and drinking establishment. Being mindful of the day and the time, I'd like to say that the applicant has reviewed the staff report and the conditions contained in the staff report, and is fully supportive of both of those things without any revisions. Thus, the applicant respectfully requests that the planning board accept the findings of facts and conclusions of law contained in the staff report and approve preliminary plan 4-23013 and associate TCP1. There are a few of applicants' representatives here, and we're prepared to respond to any questions if you have them, but we are ready to submit on the record.
Thank you, Mr. Hatcher. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant on this item? Don't see any. Want to thank you all, obviously, for all the work that's gone on behind the scenes to bring us to this fairly clean presentation. So thanks to staff, and thank you, Mr. Hatcher, for all the work. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone else who's signed up to speak on this? I don't think there is anybody. So seeing none, I will close the public hearing, and commissioners, it's to us for deliberation, and if there is none, I would look for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the findings of staff and approve preliminary plan 4-23013 and TCP 1-014-11-02, along with the conditions as outlined in staff's report.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Washington, a second by Vice Chair Bailey. If there is no discussion on the motion, I will call the roll. Commissioner Washington.
I vote aye.
Vice Chair Bailey.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
Vote aye.
I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 4-0. Thank you, Mr. Hatcher. Thank you, Ms. Gupta.
Thank you all very much.
Next, we have item 7 on our agenda, Countywide Planning Division. This is a mentor referral 2023-005, Leonardtown Student Housing, UMD. We have a staff presentation by Ms. Jose. We have a few speakers signed up from the City of College Park as well. I saw Ms. Bader on the line. Mr. McGinnis, good to see you as well. Let's start with staff. Take it away.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, I'm Christine Osei, Countywide Planning Division. Item 7 on the agenda is the development of a 465-unit multi-family apartment building for students at the University of Maryland. The site is on a 7-acre zone, local transit-oriented light edge. It is also within the College Park Aviation Policy Area 6 with height restrictions no higher than 50 feet. The building is designed as a full 5 and partial 6 stories with approximately 322,090 total gross feet. The Federal Aviation Administration has reviewed the proposed heights and noted that they will have no impact on the existing airport. The proposed development is adjacent Old Town Historic District, and with recommendations and a revised memo from the Historic Preservation Commission was submitted to staff yesterday. Those recommendations were made part of the staff report previously, so we just bring it to your attention. The development also abuts the City of College Park. The City Council sent a letter in and staff recommendations, which was made part of the packet on the 15th of this month for the Planning Board. There are no issues associated with this and no known opposition. I believe members of the project team from the University of Maryland and the City of College Park are also participating in this hearing and may have questions if needed. Staff recommends the board to adopt the findings in its technical staff report and approve the proposed graduate student housing and transmit the 12 recommendations outlined in pages 12 and 13 of the staff report to the applicant. Thank you, Mr. Chair and the board. This concludes staff presentation.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions for staff before we hear from the representative from the University of Maryland and then City College Park?
Yeah, I have a question just about transportation issue. So I know that they're going to be closing down potentially one of the roads that follows kind of parallel to Campus Drive over there. And we've got our trail that runs on the east side of the road, kind of going up and then crossing Campus Drive and then continuing on into our trail system. So I just wanted to make sure that it looks like on slide, I think it's like 13 of the deck, that there's like a cul-de-sac right there. And I just want to make sure that if there's any kind of construction on the cul-de-sac, and I know Vanessa is biker friendly as well, so probably knows exactly right where I'm talking about, that there's no kind of like disruption of the trail system right now, because it's a mess right there. I just rode this on Sunday right there, and it's kind of a mess getting across Campus Drive at the moment, and I don't want any more disruptions to pedestrian or biker kind of activity right there. If we can minimize that and just make sure that people can continue to use our trail system and get up through there for exercising and other things they might be doing.
I appreciate the question. Ms. Sose, do you want to answer that, or you want Mr. McGinnis to answer that?
I would defer to Mr. McGinnis because staff raised a number of concerns on connectivity, and the information we received is what we presented in the staff report. So I would defer to the applicant.
Okay. All right, so let's turn to Mr. McGinnis. Commissioner Dorner, if it's all right, Mr. McGinnis, we'll give you a chance to say whatever you need to say and be mindful of Commissioner Dorner's question as part of that, and then we'll hear from the City of College Park. So, Mr. McGinnis, the floor is yours if you want to introduce yourself for the record.
Good morning, Ed McGinnis. I am the Assistant Vice President for Real Estate at the University. Mr. Chair, members of the board, it's a pleasure to be here. It's an even greater pleasure to be here with the unanimous support of the College Park City Council. That is all a good thing. Commissioner Dorner, the reason why I'm happy to have that question deferred to me is that road needed to be closed. It created at the new Roxborough Purple Line interchange with Campus Drive, which is coming, a real dangerous intersection. Here's the real good news. On the north side of Campus Drive, at that location between the Trolley Trail and Baltimore Avenue, the College Park City University Partnership now has, from state bond bills, full funding for the design and construction of a trail connection at that location. So there will be new trail connectivity that is coming. It'll come at around the time the Purple Line opens. So that's the good news, is there are state funds available. That connectivity will be there. We've talked about, I know Mr. Barrage talked about the park network and how vital and important it is. And it's important to the university. It's important to this project to have that connectivity. So again, I know we're on a bit of an expedited schedule this morning. I just, again, thank the city for the support. And if there are any more questions, I'm available.
That's great, Mr. McGinnis. I appreciate it. Commissioner Dorner, does that address your issue?
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear that we got the fund set up, and that's definitely on the priority list.
Right. Any other questions for Mr. McGinnis? If not, Ms. Bader, turn to you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair and Planning Board members. This is Miriam Bader. I'm the Director of Planning and Community Development for the City of College Park. The City of College Park City Council at their meeting on May 14th voted unanimously to support approval with considerations of MRF 2023-005, Leonardtown Graduate Student Housing. We support the county staff recommendation, which has incorporated the city's considerations. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bader. All right, we've no one else who is going to be speaking on this issue. Commissioners, you have heard from the City of College Park. You've heard from Mr. McGinnis and staff. What is your pleasure on this mandatory referral?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the findings as well as the recommendations of staff and approve the transmittal of MRF 2023-005 to Mr. McGinnis, University of Maryland.
Second.
We got a motion by Commissioner Washington, a second by Vice Chair Bailey. Is there discussion on the motion? Seeing none. Excited about this project, by the way. This was a long time coming. I'm sure you all are as excited as we are, and we're looking forward to the next new big thing that helps the City of College Park and the university and the county as a whole. So thank you very much for all of your cooperation on this and collaboration and leadership. And if there's nothing else, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Washington.
Vote aye.
Vice Chair Bailey. Commissioner Washington.
Aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
Vote aye.
I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 4-0. Thank you, Mr. McGinnis, Ms. Bader. Thank you, Ms. Sose.
Thank you.
Next, we have item 8 on our agenda, plan of subdivision 4-23032, New Carrollton Town Center. This case was continued from the planning board meeting of May 2nd, 2024. Mr. Shipp is representing the applicant. We have Mr. D.S. Campbell who's giving the staff presentation. Is that right? Yeah. This is an evidentiary hearing. If there's anyone who signed up to speak, then we'll swear them in at that time, and we'll turn to Mr. Diaz-Campbell for the staff presentation as we begin the hearing.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, I am Eddie Diaz-Campbell, Planner 3 with the Subdivision Section. Item number 8 on the agenda is the preliminary plan subdivision for the new Carrollton Town Center, 4-23032. The subject project proposes 12 parcels for mixed-use development of 1,000 multifamily dwelling units and 810,000 square feet of commercial uses. The application is subject to approved certificate of adequacy, ADQ-2023-056. No citizens have signed up to speak on this application, and no additional material was submitted prior to the noon deadline on May 21st, 2024. The applicant has indicated that they agree with the staff recommended conditions of approval. Staff recommend adoption of the findings of the technical staff report, approval of a variation from section 24-122A, approval of a variation from section 24-121A4, and approval of the preliminary plan subdivision, subject to conditions contained in the staff report. This concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz-Campbell. If there's no questions for staff, we'll turn to Mr. Shipp to see if you have something you want to add as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Bill Shipp with law offices in Greenbelt here for the applicant today. Good morning. I do want to quickly align my comments with those that were made regarding Mr. Berlage's service. I just have to say that he has been a fair and diligent representative of the commission, but as a member of the private sector, I can tell you he's always been a problem solver. We will miss him, and he's just an all-around good guy on top of that. So best wishes to you, Mr. Berlage.
I just have to say, Mr. Shipp, I'm glad you added the word solver after problem, because you took a bit of space there, and I thought, really, is that the direction you're going? But okay.
That's just my delivery.
I heard that too, Mr. Chairman.
No, we will miss his assistance, that's for sure.
Thank you. Thanks for the kind words.
As for the case that's before us, I will keep my comments brief. You will recall this was on your agenda a few weeks ago. This is a continuation. We had a few open items that we were still working on, and I'm pleased to report through the diligent, very hard efforts of Mr. Diaz-Campbell and Ms. Connor, especially in the last week. I am happy to report we are in complete agreement with the staff report and the proposed conditions with no proposed revisions to the conditions. We thank them very much for working with us on this very important and complicated project. We will be back before you many times, but this sets us on the launching pad, so we're thankful for that. I do want to take 1 second to, if we could pull up slide number 6, I want to point something out to the board that we are pursuing. Well, I had slide 6. There's one called preliminary plan of subdivision. I'm sorry, slide 10. Slide 10. My mistake. Yes, you see the parcel that's labeled as parcel B. That is the large wetland area in the center of the property, really. It's been part of the vision with the TDDP. I'm happy to report that the applicant has worked closely with the county, and the county has adopted this project as part of its work with the Clean Water Partnership to upgrade that stream, which is a very important upgrade for the county environmentally, gives them important points in their efforts to comply with MDE requirements. We have MDE approval. We have core approval. We have Department of the Environment approval for the project. So it is moving along. The first stage really is looking at the environmental treatment of that parcel, and then we will be looking for the amenity aspect of it. We thank Ms. Connor especially for working with us on keeping this in the forefront, but also allowing for accommodation for the time and consideration that's going to be taken with all the stakeholders to bring this forward. We have WMATA as an owner, we have the county as a project coordinator, and we have Parks Department. Everybody's going to have a stake in this thing, and we're going to be coordinating those conversations and bringing you updates as we go along. Hopefully very soon we'll have a site plan and we'll give you an update as to the status of the wetland park. But I do want to let you know it's in process, but it's going to take time. With that, I will say that we stand on the record as submitted in this case. We are in complete agreement with staff conditions. I do have several members of the applicant's team, including representatives of the applicant, Mr. Alan Letterman, but we are really just here to answer questions at this point. And we certainly request your indulgence in a recommendation of approval.
Thank you, Mr. Schiff. Appreciate that. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant? And thank you for highlighting that issue related to the wetland area there and the progress that's being made on that. That was very helpful to hear. Any questions for the applicant? I'm sorry, yeah, Commissioner Norton.
There's a slide, I think it was the one right before this. Our staff report has much more detail on just bike facilities. I think maybe it was the one right after that then. It was on the conceptual circulation plan. Yeah, right there it is. Right after that on slide 11 of 14. Yeah. So I'm pretty familiar with this area because I used to go here almost every Thursday right before planning board prior to COVID, and would drop off my wife and she'd commute in, and then I continue on to Upper Marlboro. And I'm really happy to see this being pre-developed or just developed, because it's a shame when we have metro stops that are major stops in our county that just have no development around them, that just kind of misses the point of how we can sustain mass transit and public transit. And biking and pedestrian traffic through the site was one of the things that we've talked about quite regularly as Kaiser and others are coming through. I noticed that there's a couple of green stars that are the conceptual bike facilities right there. And I know our staff report has a number of other details about the bike lanes and the bike path kind of around there. Can you just describe though what the bike facilities are and how you're going to kind of balance pedestrian and bike activity around here? Because that's one of the things that it's not it wasn't biker friendly until it started to redevelop, and I just want to make sure we keep that. We're just walking friendly at all. I want to make sure we keep that on the forefront as things are coming through.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Dorner. Couple points. We have been looking at the bike and pedestrian connections from the beginning with this town center. And as you know, this is really the second phase of the overall development. So it's something that's been looked at. And of course, you and your staff look at it through the ADQ process and the BPIS. So it's looked at very carefully. I'd say that our intention is that with each site plan, we would update the bicycle treatment specifically, and of course pedestrian connections, but in general, as you get closer to the metro station, we have been focusing on more bike storage within the parking garages themselves. As you get further into parcels that are more residential in character, they would be geared towards bike service for the residents there. But working with WMATA, that is obviously the owner and operator of the station, they're very motivated to keep bicycle storage and connectivity in the area. It hasn't been the most connected area, and I hope that we're making some improvement there. The WMATA's already had locker space, but with the addition of the new parking garage and relocation of some of the functions to that garage, we will be updating bicycle storage throughout the site.
Okay, that's good. That's definitely good to know. Right now, the bike storage is kind of a pain at a lot of the WMATA stations because they're not allowing it, and they're not taking new applicants for it. So I'm glad to see that we're putting in new facilities that will hopefully encourage more other multimodal kind of transit to the mass transit.
Thank you. And I know Mr. Letterman's on the phone. He interacts with WMATA constantly, so we will take your comments back.
Perfect.
Thanks for that. Much appreciated. Any other questions for the applicant? If not, I don't think we have anyone else who has signed up to speak on this issue. So we will close the public hearing and turn to us commissioners for any deliberation or action. And let me just say before we move on anything, this is the poster child for a case where we may not be spending a lot of time on it here, but the amount of work that has gone into bringing this to this level has been tremendous. Incredible work by staff and cooperation with the applicant and all the stakeholders. And I think we've all seen the transformation of New Carrollton over the past 5, 7, 10 years or so. It's really something to see. And this, I think the county executive and others' vision to see this as the gateway to the DMV for the East Coast is really coming to fruition. So impressive work by everybody. With that, if there's any other deliberation, if not, I would look for a motion.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman, but before I do, I just want to align myself with your comments. I'm in and out of that station quite frequently back and forth between Maryland and New York because I work between the two. I would just ask not to hide the entrance to Amtrak because it seems like with all the progress that's being made, I have to make sure I'm being driven and taken to the right place. But it is absolutely coming together phenomenally. So congratulations. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the findings of staff and approve preliminary plan 4-23032 TCP 1-009-2016-01 and variation from section 24-121A4 and variation from section 24-122A.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Washington, a second by Commissioner Dorner. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I will call the roll. Commissioner Washington.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
Vote aye.
Vice Chair Bailey.
Vote aye.
I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 4-0. Thank you, Mr. Shipp. Thank you, Mr. Diaz Campbell, and to all those involved in moving this one along. Much appreciated. Item 9 on our agenda has been removed, so I believe that we are done for the day. Mr. Hunt, any further business to come before us?
Mr. Chair, there are no additional business items before the board.
Okay, with that, commissioners, without objection, we are adjourned. I want to thank everybody for their time. Happy long weekend, and we'll see you all next week.
Have a good one. Take care.
Bye-bye.